Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings and the other conservative on the panel chuckle as a group of soulless morons lie to our faces. Let's go.
And said, it's going to be hard to prove that she intentionally deceived the lender when there is an email exchange in which the lender confirms that this is not going to be her primary residence. But at the end of the day, Scott, it seems like none of that really matters because Trump said in his text or his social media message to Pam Bondi, which the Wall Street Journal says was meant to be a direct message to Pam Bondi, that and there's been all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam, Shifty Schiff, and Letitia? He just told her to prosecute these people, and they're doing it.
Yeah, well, they went to a grand jury. They showed them evidence. A grand jury decided to bring charges, just like in the case of Comey. And in both cases, they'll get to go to court and have their day in court, and we'll see if the evidence ever makes it to a jury of their peers. Look, I mean, Letitia James is the absolute worst possible poster child for the argument of selective prosecution. Her entire political career has been on the idea of selectively prosecuting one person, Donald J. Trump. Whether you think the merits of the case are strong or weak, or how you think it's going to play out, going out tonight and crying and whining and fussing about selective prosecution when it comes to Letitia James, who ran an entire campaign saying she was going to go after Trump. The cases she brought, it was only because of Trump. I don't think the American people are going to have too much sympathy for it. But she'll get to go to court. She'll get to make her arguments, and we'll see what happens.
Let me go ahead and play.
Civil case.
Let me go ahead and play what she. I think we have that sound, right? What she campaigned on that he's referring to. Listen.
What is fueling this campaign, what is fueling my soul right now is Trump and his abuses. Abuses against immigrants, against women, against our environment. We need an attorney general who will stand up to Donald Trump. And we need an attorney general who understands and knows the law and who recognizes that no one is above the law, including the president of these United States.
You know what's interesting? She named all the things she was mad at Trump over, but then she went after him on mortgage fraud as a civil case, which just always struck me as I've just got to find something here to satisfy my political base. Also, I don't understand why being a political foe of Donald Trump makes you immune from having to follow the law. If she did it,
her case,
then a jury will, adjudicate.
Her case was not an $18,000 case, was it? It was millions case. If you buy,
but Judge, there's not a qualifier.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that was a case. That's a case that any prosecutor. I was a former federal prosecutor. Okay, no prosecutor would have brought this case for $18,000. It's just too small. That's the way it works. But for millions, which it wasn't brought, this was not an indictment against Trump. It was a civil case.
She tried to bankrupt him. She tried to ruin his life and try to make it so he couldn't run for president.
So what are we going to do?
She brought forward a case that she thought was meritorious, and it was found that it was meritorious.
By the way, thank God she failed in her ultimate goal. Otherwise, we wouldn't be bringing these hostages
Scott,
on Monday.
wasn't the argument about that case, that civil case that she brought, that there were no victims to the alleged wrongdoing?
That was always
wasn't that the argument?
One of the
then wouldn't, if you were to apply that to this situation, how do you justify then charging her over $18,000, which by the way, again, like those are allegations. We don't know if there were communications between her and the mortgage company about the change of a change of status for the property or anything like that. We don't know about that. But do you think that this is more of a crime with a victim than the one against Trump?
I can only read back to you her own words. When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. That's what James said. That's the standard she applied to Trump. So you think that applies to Trump then?
I think
she thought it did.
So Scott, hold on. Do you think that applies to Trump? If you think it applies to her, fine.
I'm giving you her justification for prosecuting him was that.
Do you think it applies?
I don't know why they wouldn't apply.
Listen, as they say, two wrongs don't make a right. She's either wrong about Trump or you're wrong about Trump. Which one is it?
No, look, she brought the case. She went through the process in New York. What happened happened. Now she's got a case against her.
So Trump's
the process
case
will
was
play
legitimate
out.
then, in your mind?
I don't think it should have ever been brought. I think it was a travesty.
But you can't have it both ways. One way with Trump and one way with
They're two different cases.
They are not. You cannot have them two different ways.
Go ahead.
I totally agree with that. And this video that you showed is even premature. This goes way back to 2018 when she ran. The quote she said is, I'm going to shine a light into every dark corner of Donald Trump's real estate dealings. And now that's what's happening to her. A prosecutor is shining that light.
Yeah, but she wasn't a real estate developer.
It doesn't matter.
Look, I know we're told to respect our elders, but
I think someone needs to tell that lady that things have changed for federal prosecutors since the Coolidge administration. As far as Letitia James, we talked about yesterday, I think she's been indicted by a grand jury that determined there was enough evidence to charge her. If the case is as flimsy as the Democrats say, it'll fizzle out in court. That's just how the system works. That's the whole story. I mean, everything else here is just fake outrage. Something that made me cringe so bad was when Scott was answering a question, the redhead lady with the most irritating voice on the planet just sits there like 2 words in, shaking her head. It's like, wait until he's done talking. What are you disagreeing with? But I get it. I mean, for her and her Democrat comrades, it's like a reflex. They don't listen. They just respond no when a conservative speaks. That head shake is the Democrat strategy in one gesture. When a conservative speaks, don't listen, just dismiss it. Hey, that's a pretty good slogan. Don't listen, just dismiss it. That could be something for something, right? After years of investigations aimed at Donald Trump, is anyone really surprised that the same spotlight is now on Letitia James? As my old Uncle Rusty used to say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Regardless of whether she's ever found guilty of a crime, Letitia James built her entire political career on trying to destroy one man's life and stop him from running for office because she knew that the American people loved him and her party couldn't beat him with policy, couldn't beat him with ideas, or provide a single competent challenger. The charges she brought against Donald Trump never had anything to do with justice. It was her obsession. And you know how we know it was her obsession? Because she literally said it. Prosecuting Trump fuels my soul. Not only does that sound obsessive, it's downright dark. That's what fuels your soul? There's only one thing that fuels mine, and it's not taking down a billionaire politician. And although I haven't heard her say it recently, Big Tish used to love to remind everyone, no one is above the law. And on that, Miss James, we finally agree.